Hi everyone, I'm Muspel, and welcome to the Global Exclusive Podcast. This week I'm joined by Barros and Dream, and I'm looking at the wiki pages here, and I just realized that the individual members of Bulwark have names.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, so I honestly was like looking at it, and I just thought, just like you, Dream, that Bulwark is the name of the Chonkobo. That's their mascot, or
Yeah.
that's like the front man or woman. I don't know, but it seems like Bulwark is so weird. That's like the
Yeah, that's the name of the band supposedly, but then I feel like Bulwark and the melodic mascots doesn't
yeah
grammatically make
Yeah,
sense.
makes no sense at all. But the Chocobo's name is Pomelo, right, or something, or Pomelo.
Yeah, yeah, Pomelo.
Okay, so yeah, that's weird. Like because it's a weird band name. It's like Bulwark and the melodic mascot. Like, I don't know. I guess though, like Death Cab for Cutie is also a band name. So
yeah, but that's
whatever.
like a phrase. That's not Death Cab and the Cuties.
True, true. But it could be. That would still be an okay band name, I'm feeling. I think I
Yeah,
was
but
just taken aback because Bulwark sounds like a name that you would give to a chunky ass chocobo.
And I,
That's what
I,
I
I
feel.
assumed it
well,
was a pun. I assumed it, like work is the sound that
yeah,
wild chocobos
exactly.
make. I assumed it was bulwark. Like,
Oh shit! I didn't even think that far, but yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Literally has a skill called walk.
Ah, okay. There we go. There we go. Yeah,
But
okay.
yeah,
But interesting,
yeah,
interesting.
it's like weird, like because the melodic mascots encompasses all four, so there is no entity
Yeah.
separate
So
from
what
that to
is
be Bulwark
Bulwark,
again.
right?
Oh, a good unit.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So should we, since we're already talking about it, should we talk about Bulwark then first?
sure, I have one other thing to say though, which is apparently Gumi thinks that sousaphone, is that how you pronounce it? Sousaphone? Sousaphone?
I have no fucking idea. You're
They
asking the
think
wrong
they think
person.
it's a proper noun. It's capitalized, and I don't think it is. I don't think it's a proper noun because it's just a kind of instrument.
Listen, let's
Where's
actually
this
spend
capitalized?
30 minutes on talking
Oh,
about how grammar and English is poorly used in FFBE instead.
we
Because I
need
feel
some
like this is not
guest
the
star
first
on that
time.
episode.
Yeah.
All right, so NV-based
So
unit, great sprite, top tier.
yeah, chunky ass chocobo. Like that's a lot of bird. That's a lot of fucking bird in one sprite.
I think this is the most chocobo we've ever seen in a unit.
I agree. I mean, like there's fat chocobo summons in other games, and I feel like this is very much like a less morbidly obese version of that. It's just cute.
Yeah. Uh, so they're like a buffer slash breaker. The breaks are not great. They're only 80%, which is fine, but generally not what you want to be using these days.
Mm.
Right.
Um,
It
they're
is
good at filling
maintainable
the
at
morale
least.
gauge, which is important in Clash, obviously.
Mm.
Right.
I mean,
And they
basically,
seem to,
they're like a bit of like an alternate version of Ling that sort of
For sure.
trades off some like stuff like a bit of break strength and like some LB fill and stuff, and in turn gets a bit better at like stat buffing and element support.
right,
Yeah.
right. And what so in base form, I mean, so this is a unit that's a buffer basically in both forms, right? Or a
Yeah,
support in
yeah.
both forms. So in base form, it seems like I don't know much about this unit, I'm gonna be honest, but it seems like wind is their thing in base form, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In both forms, like when wind is their primary support element, and
Okay.
then in shift they have ice and dark as secondaries.
Right, right. And they also follow kind of the Ling design where they have AoE killers,
Mm.
very powerful AoE killers that cost LB gauge to use.
Mhm.
Um,
For another 4 races.
yeah, which is like I mean, if you end up with Bulwark and Ling, like where are you gonna be using Zon for DV in the foreseeable future? I feel.
I feel
These
like
do have a weird
mm,
twist to them in that they give you extra morale gauge if you have units of those races in your party. In
Yeah,
practice,
that's
this
actually
is
a bit
something
weird.
you're never going to build around. First off, because it
I
gives
know.
almost no morale, and second, because there's almost no units of these races in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like okay, so the avian killer gives you a bonus per active avian unit, right? So obviously you're gonna incur that bonus when you're using the avian killer ability, right? It just makes
Yeah.
sense because you're obviously
Mm.
killing an avian enemy. But as you said, the bonus is so low. So, like in comparison to just a normal fill, like Ling or Kresnik or Elena have, like it's not worth
Yeah.
or
No,
optimizing
no.
for
It
it
is
is just ridiculous.
0.25% morale per unit.
Yeah,
It's a
So
tiny
exactly.
bonus.
Bulwark themselves are a bird, so you get 1 ticket credit towards that. Moogle units are fairies, I believe. So like if you're using Noppy or Igni, I guess they count.
Really?
Demon
Huh.
units, there's very few of those. I'm not
There's a
sure.
couple.
Plants is
I think like
Cacteria a plant?
Yeah,
I don't think so. No,
but here's
here's
the
just
point. In order for Bulwark to get to the same amount that Elena and Kresnik can spam, you'd have to have 8 of the specific unit
yeah.
in the
Well,
field, right?
Well, they
Bulwark still
Bul-
got the chirrup, which is like 6.5 per turn, which is
No, no, no.
the
I mean with these
same
skills.
as. Well, yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah. The skill's just like a nice extra
Yeah,
bonus.
it's just a
Exactly.
tiny extra. I this is really not worth talking about that much. It's just
No,
Yeah.
no.
don't build your team around this. It's not worth it.
Yeah. And the Bulwark also has a lot of self LB fill, to maintain the kit of using LB.
Yeah.
But
Lose ability.
just like you mentioned, Dream, unlike Ling, doesn't have the AoE LB support that she has for the party.
Mm.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, fantastic unit, really. Like, is there anything negative to say about this unit? Well, other than it's a pure support, I guess, but that would have been a downside before we had Ling. Now that we know better, it really isn't.
Yeah.
I
There
I would say the main downside is like not quite being able to break at your kind of main breaker level.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
true,
the
true.
downsides are like you compare them to Ling and there's pros and cons. Like not as good at breaking as Ling, doesn't have the big stack Mirage like Ling, but instead you get bigger amps and
Yeah, let's actually be specific. I mean, it's 60% wind amp, so fuck you, Barts.
yes, but you have to be at max morale to do that,
I
which
mean,
can be hard to do.
that's how you're capping, bro. That's what you want to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could it technically? Oh, no, 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 because they fixed that bug in Arena, right? When you have the morale gauge in Arena, they fixed that.
It wouldn't be worth it in Arena anyways.
No.
Uh,
Yeah.
and that
Okay.
yeah, and also in Cal, the demon killer goes up to 200%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's also ridiculous.
But I mean, and honestly, just connect this to other units. Just as a comparison, we've gotten 2 elemental supports lately, or 3 if you count Aerith as well. I'm talking about Lord something Nickel and Celeste, of course, Triumphant General Celeste. And like with units like Bulwark, I feel like these other units are no longer worth it unless you're doing it only for the LB damage buff.
I think
Because
Bulwark has taken a lot of the wind out of Selly's sails because Bulwark also does
yeah,
ice. Selly's is better at ice because Selly's does 45% amp instead of 30%, but Bulwark has
sure.
the killers.
Exactly. He
So
has so much more, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the problem here
I
is
mean,
that
Celeste still has 2 killers at 100% and 1 at 160 if you get her at EX3, I guess.
yeah,
So
yeah,
2 at 100,
I just feel
basically.
like there's going to be a
But
lot of
yes.
fights where Bulwark does what you want, and unless you're specifically relying on Selly's tanking, which to be fair you might be in Dark Visions or Clash of Wills,
And it
Bulwark
is
is
handy
just
with the preemptive cover as well on her.
yeah,
But
that's true.
yeah. I mean, I didn't want to compare them as units, but I just wanted to compare the because I feel like both Celeste and Nickel have a very specific elemental buffer kit, right?
yeah,
Like they
well,
have this.
it's the JP, like,
Yeah,
somewhat bare bones
yeah.
current buffer
Yeah,
clone series.
Nickel is very much, I don't want to, not quite a one-trick pony, but a very narrow unit.
yeah,
He
absolutely.
enables your units to deal water damage and nothing else.
I mean,
Bulwark enables
that's
your units to deal wind damage and then has a backup element, and then also does killers and also has some other stuff on top of that.
Yep.
And yeah,
this
it's
is basically JP versus GL unit design in an essence.
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Uh,
Um,
there's not a whole
Did we
lot
miss
else in the
something?
kit. There's one other skill I want to mention, which is this is really only relevant. Well, not only relevant. This is mostly relevant in Clash of Wills. The Grandis ability or Magnus ability in base form that gives
The
an
jaunty
ally 80.
jubilee.
Yeah, gives an ally 85% physical and magical mitigation, and also heals them to full. This is going to be really helpful for keeping a tank alive.
Yeah.
Or like in the last Dark Visions, it would have been great, just keeping your tank from taking much damage.
Behemoth, yeah. And
Yeah,
like, because people were using Shadow Lord for like a very similar ability to throw on Beatrix.
yeah,
So, well, it could do kind of similar, and
yeah.
then
It
Yeah.
would have been
also
less
provide a lot
mitigation,
more.
but Bulwark also has the Demon Killer buff, so
Yeah, and it's a 2-turn ability, and you have 2 uses per battle, so you can actually keep it up for 4 turns,
Yeah.
which is still like a fair amount of duration. I feel so this unit really is super strong. Honestly, like
yeah,
it's a really strong unit. Sure, pros and cons compared to Ling, but I also feel that you're not putting both of them in a party, right? What you actually want is you
Probably not.
want one of each.
you
Yeah.
maybe you would just for morale gauge purposes, or if it was a dual race boss. But I
I don't know.
agree,
Like I feel that.
I think it's very rare you would use both.
Yeah, I mean, because like Ling alone, maxes moral gauge.
Yeah, I think the
So
main
yeah,
reason to use both would be if they both have high EX levels and you don't have other good options for that.
yeah, probably, yeah.
Because like Ling, they can do like add a bit of damage to your kill turn as well, but this time with like a chain, because they've got a spirit scaling bolting strike move
Yeah.
Yeah,
as well. That's like got a
So
pretty decent mod, but like obviously not main damage dealer level, but
no,
enough to be
exactly.
noticeable.
So yeah, cool unit. Muspel, do you want to do your thing?
yeah. So the only other thing to talk about is the TM and STMR and Vision card, and the Vision card is not on the wiki, so let me pull it up in game real quick because I don't remember exactly what it does.
I
The
think it
TM is a tank materia basically. It's fine.
That's actually
40%
not great.
spirit.
I was a bit disappointed, honestly. I don't think
It's
it.
similar to Phase's TM or
I
Melia's, which it's about as good as tank materia get if you're
it's a
looking at
fine
HP and
stat
spirit.
block.
I feel it's like a tiny upgrade from the other one that just has like spirit and HP 40%, which is like a 4-star TMR. I keep forgetting what it's
Uh,
called.
I think the
you mean
4-star one is
30%?
yeah, the 4-star one's 30/30.
No, 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 no. 40, 40. It's called light something, I think.
That's 5 stars. You're thinking of Barrel's TM. That's a 5-star,
Oh, that's Barrel's TM. Oh, okay. Never mind then.
and
Okay, that's a 5-star TM.
that's 40% spirit, 30% HP, I think.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
actually.
think it's 30 HP, 40 magic and spirit.
Okay, but then this is
Yeah.
good. Then all
Yeah.
right, this is actually
It,
good.
it also gives sleep and silence resistance and some LB fill.
Mm.
And you can upgrade it with the event. I actually forget what it gains with that. Let me check in Discord because it's not on the wiki.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's the usual like fan design thing if their TMR can have a few extra stats added to it with like the materia from the quests.
it gains 30% defense, 30% MP, and that's it. So that makes it an okay materia for Cetra Descendant Aerith, I guess, because 40% spirit, 30% MP, I
Yeah,
guess.
all right.
Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, that's all for the TM. The STMR is one of the only one-handed instruments in the game. Oh, I guess we forgot to mention that Bulwark has a 30% instrument in peril.
Yeah,
So
that's very important.
for all of those instrument users out there,
That want a imperil. Yeah,
yeah. The STMR is fine for what it is, which is something that nobody else is ever going to use.
yeah.
Uh,
I don't like these STMRs to be honest. Like I don't like STMRs that are just useful for that one unit alone,
yeah.
and this one very much is like a one-handed
If we ever
instrument.
get an instrument user that is like a holy caster, this would be great for them. But
Sure.
as it stands, it really doesn't matter much.
Yeah, very specific. Very specific.
The
Uh,
vision card is actually decent uh,
yeah.
for what it is, which is for Aerith. 110 spirit, which is I believe the highest of any card, and
You're
then
looking at Kresnik's one.
oh sorry, yeah, never mind. What is Bulwark's at max level?
It's
Uh,
90 defense and spirit, 80% defense and spirit with an instrument, and then FFBE units get 50% spirit TDH.
Yeah.
TDH or true single wield?
Um,
It has to be
one
true single wield, right? Because
I think it's
in
single wield.
equipped in one or both weapons.
Can be activated with a shield. Yeah, I'm looking at it
yeah,
right now.
exactly.
Okay,
Doesn't
so
say
yeah.
that on the news.
So that's not actually that. I guess it's okay for tanks if you don't have anything better, but like
It's
most
also very
tanks,
specific for Bulwark.
Yeah.
Like that's
most tanks are
what
going
you're
to
going to be
want
wearing.
a card from one of the NV based tanks. So
Yeah, exactly.
It's niche.
yeah, but the other new unit, unless somebody has something else to do about
No, no,
say
no.
about Crest. Okay.
I feel we should move on. We've already talked a lot about Bulwark.
Mhm.
Okay.
And this other unit is one I like a bit more aesthetically, honestly. I know
Yeah.
people are going to beat me for it, but I like this unit more.
So Kresnik is like a plague doctor. Again, great sprite.
Mm.
If you don't know what a plague doctor is, I don't really know how to describe it. It's like a
Go look at history.
Yeah, just
yeah.
listen, Muscle. Google Plague Doctor, listeners, like, and it's gonna be solved.
Looks almost like a bird mask, I guess. But yeah, it's hard to do it just with
Yes,
words.
it's like looks just like a gimp mask, but like a bit more avian.
Everyone's seen Plague Doctors, right?
So Kresnik, the first thing I want to note is that he's one of the few units we've gotten recently that does not have true Brave Shift. He has sort of like the trance version where he upgrades into his Brave Shift form and then is stuck in there for a few turns and then he goes back to normal.
Right, right. So let's talk about the base form then, because that's the one, of course, you're gonna be stuck in the most
Well, the first thing I
in a
want to
fight.
do is talk
Or
about this because it's a new role. This is a healer, and a lot of people aren't really familiar with these. Um,
yes, good. Let's teach our listeners about healers. No, it's a good point because I'm pretty sure that if you started playing FFB like in the last 2 months, you do not know what the fuck a healer is or what it does. So in other games, healers are units that recover HP, make the green bar go back up. But of course, in FFB, we don't really use that much. So how do we use this unit, Muspel?
uh, so if we're starting with the base form, I think the biggest thing that he's got going for him is that he has a spammable AoE Imperil Cure. Which there's a lot of bosses in DB and Clash of Wills and even Trials that just spam Imperils every turn, but a lot of the time they do it at the end of their turn or after they deal damage. And there are other ways to cure Imperils, but a lot of them are on cooldowns or Grandis abilities or something, and the bosses apply Imperils more often than you can cure them. But Kresnik
Right.
can do it every turn. So if you bring him, then in a lot of cases, you don't need to like overgear for resist. You just need 100% after buffs, which is way easier than getting 250% or for whatever crazy imperil the boss uses.
The
Unless it's the
exceptions
type
of
of boss. Sorry,
yeah,
you're probably going to say the same thing, Drew.
yeah. The exception is obviously when they do imperil and then damage in the same turn,
For sure,
which is
yeah.
like moderately common.
Yeah. But just talking about the kit in overall, so there's a lot of healer stuff in this kit. Like you have your heals and MP regen and barrier. I'm gonna say like I feel
Break
Kresnik's kit
immunity.
is very compressed in general, as in every ability does one or two or even or sorry 2 or 3 things even. So there's heals and MP regens, barriers. There is the ailment resistance and break resistance and curing breaks and ailments. Um, Again, this is one ability, so that's pretty cool, as well as filling morale gauge. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, but not much more in the base form. That's the thing. Like you're getting a
I suppose
pure healer.
the main like extra thing compared to just like most healer kits is that almost all of the like a lot of these abilities also have a 2.5% morale fill on them, and they're
Yeah,
all
true.
spammable.
Yeah,
So
So
yeah,
this
this is
is
he
one
has
of
triple cast, so this is going to be
yeah,
7.5% morale per turn in most cases.
I mean,
yeah.
we'll get to it even more in the ship, but one of Kresnik's big thing is probably being like the strongest raw morale filler that we've
Yep,
Yeah.
got so far.
morale battery.
And especially since like you're actually doing something for your team. So for instance, if you're curing ailments every turn, you're also filling morale. You're
Yeah,
healing, etc., which is pretty cool.
because
I feel.
all those like AoE ailment buffs and stat buffs and stuff and heals even they all like fill extra morale as well on top of the
And
2.5.
yeah, and one thing that I think is also interesting is his interaction with Ling. Sorry, not Ling, Louise, because he has triple cast CWA, meaning that him and Ling can Ling again, him and Louise can chain if Louise uses her cap. So that's pretty sweet. That's like a nice use of him, because otherwise Luis has a hard time finding a CWA partner. Unless you have Igni, I guess, sure.
I mean,
Uh,
for if you want like quadcast CWA, you've always got Aaron Ring.
sure.
But yeah, it can be handy to
Yeah.
have chains available for kill
The last
turns.
thing I want to mention with his base form, this is only relevant on one fight, but it could be relevant on a future Clash of Wills or something. His basic attack cures zombie AoE,
Oh yeah, it does actually. Yes.
which makes him the only unit in the game that can do on-demand AoE zombie cure.
And
Which
as
is
a, as a,
again not very useful, because the only trial where this is relevant keeps zombieing you. So like,
Well,
or
you could set him up as to counter every turn somehow.
oh, that's actually very interesting. Well,
and
I
what
mean, because that would cure zombie on your turn, so at least you would heal up, right? So on the Amon
Yeah.
trial, you'd actually be able to heal every turn. That's actually pretty interesting. I didn't think of
like
that.
free up his actions to then do a heal. What
Yeah,
it also has AoE 10 LB fill attached to it,
yeah.
so you could potentially do the whole like dual, like you're sacrificing some spirit passives, but you can potentially do the whole dual wield Aurora Scarf thing, and that lets him
Holy shit.
fill 40 per turn if you
I
need
mean,
it.
what counter skills do we have that are not limited to one per turn? Are there any that counter with your basic attack?
Black belt.
Yeah, I think there might be like one other materia or something as well, but yeah, black belt's the one I remember as well.
Very nice. Okay, that's pretty cool. I mean, it still does mean that he needs to get hit physically by the boss, I guess.
Yeah. So
Um,
you if you were
I
doing that,
guess
you'd want to make him like your evade provoker.
this is a good time to go back to Bulwark for a second, I guess, because Bulwark has a skill that gives all allies a chance to counter attacks made against any unit on your team. So if your
oh,
tank gets hit, then Kresnik will counter.
that's very interesting. Wait, we've seen this ability before. Doesn't like
Yes.
Gladio have something like that?
I'm trying to remember what unit had it. Was it
Yeah,
Rivera?
there's weird ones because like some of them make like the units themselves counter. Some of them make like the unit who cast it counter, and the wording is always like very similar and a
Yeah,
bit
because
confusing.
I know Gladio has something similar, but that could be the case where he
Yeah, I
counters
think
for all other allies.
yeah, like Steiner and Lord of the Seas Nicole both have some kind of team counter interaction, but I don't
Mm,
remember if
Yeah.
either of them are of this nature.
It only
right,
lasts
right.
one turn, and it's only one counter when Bulwark does it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
his is
But
max one.
if you're just worrying about curing zombie, then it's still plenty.
yeah.
Mm.
But still, I mean, like what Dream said, right? You equip him with Aurora Scarf and a. Oh wait. You can only have one of those items, right?
Yeah, so he
They
could fill
don't
up to
stack.
40, just
Yeah,
with normal basic attack,
yeah.
or
Which
more
is
with counters.
still pretty fucking strong. I mean, that in itself would enable many of the, LB every turn strats that you might have
There's
for certain units.
a couple other units that can already like fill that much or slightly more per turn. In fact, I think Ling is one of them that
Yeah,
can do
Ling
a
is one
similar
of them.
amount. But yeah, it can be another nice tool to have.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
because Ling also needs to do it. I mean, she needs to waste actions to do it, right? Whereas a full counter Kresnik would do it as a counter, meaning you would still have his abilities on the
Will
turn
the
to use.
yeah, the dual wield Aurora Scarf stuff that won't affect your like how many times he counters. That's only if you actually use the basic
No,
attack
it's gonna
as
be,
his
but it's
turn.
gonna be. Oh wait.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah,
that. Okay. I did not know that. I actually thought
no, it's
Aurora Scarf was
still
applied to counters. Okay.
Nope.
no, it's still just one counter per attack.
Okay. All right. But still,
Uh,
pretty
but
cool
yeah.
side thing. But maybe we should talk about the overpowered Brave Shift that I still don't have because I need to fucking wait for
Mm,
VIP coins
I'm not
or
sure I would call it
VIP
overpowered.
shop.
It's good, but it also has a lot of limitations. The first and biggest one is that he does not have like W ability or triple ability. So all of these abilities that he has, he's just going to be single casting them.
He does have triple white magic in his
Yes, but you're not going
Brave
to use
Shift
that.
though.
you don't really want to be using his 3 Brave Shift turns for white magic.
No, probably
So
not.
his Brave Shift is interesting.
Mhm.
Almost every ability in his Brave Shift has an immediate effect that's pretty good, and then it will make him auto-cast an ability every single turn for the rest of the fight.
Yeah, that's
So
kind of
Let
his
that
gimmick.
sink in. I feel you made a pause there, but like let that sink in. Autocast every turn for the rest of the fight,
Yeah.
even if he shifts back to base. Okay.
So just to give an example of some of these, some of them are not great, some of them are. One of them is autocast every turn, fill the morale gauge by 10%.
That's pretty good, to be honest.
Pretty
One of them,
decent, yeah.
to give you an idea of how useless they can be, autocast every turn, buff all stats by 200%, and do like a spirit scaling dot.
Well,
Ooh.
also you forgot light damage to caster as well.
Yeah, 500 damage, but realistically, we'll get to this later, but you're gearing him for light resist.
Yeah.
Another one, autocast every turn, increase all elemental resistance by 60% to all allies. And 60% isn't huge these days, but when it's reapplied every turn for free, and he can also just spam cure imperils, like that means if you gear your units for 40% imperils and you don't need to, and it's not a boss that deals damage after imperiling you, then your units only need 40% for whatever it is you're dealing with.
Yeah,
Which
absolutely.
is very easy to gear for.
These are definitely handy, especially when there's like dispels coming in and stuff.
Yeah. There's
So,
one that gives,
wait. So when are autocasts done? They are done at the start of your turn, right?
Yes.
Meaning that it's after whatever boss did, right? So if you
Yes.
got dispelled, this applies. Good.
There's a couple others. Break resist plus stop and charm resist that can be
That
useful.
one is pretty nice actually. Stop and charm resist is very nice to have like permanent uptime on that
He
resistance.
can
Yes,
already buff those though when they last a while, so this one is not necessarily that useful.
Yeah, I
Just
guess.
because it's not adding much that he wasn't already
Again,
doing.
it's mainly like if there were dispels coming in, I think.
Yeah, and then there's one that does a 3k barrier every turn,
Which is also decent.
Yeah,
Again,
it's fine, I guess.
it's kind of saving you action economy if you have all of them rolling. Like, okay, let's just put it this way. So you can't get all of them rolling during a single brave shift. You can't, but if you choose like the most relevant ones, you're gonna have 60% all element resistance.
We should mention the last one before we start talking about this.
All right, sorry. Go ahead.
So his LB does autocast every turn, 100% human killer buff and 2% morale fill.
Which is also very nice, right? And
Yeah.
you're kind of like getting to choose what you're going to do because it's only 3 turns duration the first time you shift, and then you're going to be waiting. What is it? 5 turns. Well, so 8 turns until you can shift again, I guess, after you've shifted once. But 5 turns between the shifts. So you're only going to be selecting 3 of these abilities. But even if you so let's say you take the LB, you're then going to have permanent killer buffs. You're going to have 60% resistance to all, and maybe a 3k barrier every turn. That's still a pretty sweet deal for like free every turn before your units take.
I think in practice the morale gauge and the resist buff are probably going to be the ones that see the most use. The other ones are going to be filler, just because he's stuck in the brave shit for 3 turns anyways.
He also does. He has a few extra autocasts that are just like passive to his shift form, so like they won't persist into base, but they will be every turn in shift.
Yeah.
So he's got like a random status ailment inflict to all enemies, which is pretty niche, but occasionally might be handy for certain fights. There's a 1-turn like hex to all enemies,
which is useless.
It's useless except in one situation, which is arena, because as far as I know, hex damage is not capped by the damage cap because it's not a hit. So basically, apply any negative effects to your enemies, and at the end of turn 1, like regardless of what you've done, the enemy team dies.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Unfortunately, usually people gear units for
I really
resistances though.
Because that
yeah, but like you can AoE break them, and then
that counts.
When we get that one materia in the future that autocasts a break, remember
or
that
even
one?
like current units like Jesse and Aphmau can just preemptive AoE break.
So if the enemy goes first, they win.
Well, no, the saving grace of this is it seems like the starting in Brave Shift thing that your teams do, enemy arena teams will like always be in base form at the start.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
That's
so this is.
I mean, they won't even
player
shift,
phase
right?
only. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not even sure
I've. Yeah,
exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I feel much better now.
But listen, I want to talk about a very important talent or skill in his shift, though, which is his. Seagard has a similar one, the ability where he can imbue the boss S, I guess. All units are
Well,
actually imbued with light
Before we go
element.
into this, we should mention his last every turn autocast, which is 7% morale. Just he
Yeah,
does that
yeah.
without having to do anything every turn in Brave Shift.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I mean, coupled with the other one, that's 10%, you're going to have 17% per turn, which is
Yeah,
just
and
stupid.
27% if you're actively using the skill that turn. So
Yeah.
Yeah. And potentially another 2% from the LB autocast.
yeah, he's just slamming his cock on the morale gauge every turn.
Yeah. And like, and it's a big dick. Like, not gonna lie. I mean, this actually is like this unit is a saving grace for players like me that just want to do short runs of cow, like don't want to go turn 12. Because like you're gonna fill morale gauge in 4 turns, and or even faster if you're using other units as well to fill it, like Ling. So that's pretty cool. All right, but going back to this skill, and I think it's really interesting because we're actually going to get a bit into it as we talk about cow this time around, and cow is actually really interesting to talk about. But it's your standard, so it adds light element, imbues everyone in the field with light, and
Yeah.
then of course allows your allies to absorb light, meaning that you're immune for a turn against all
It's
physical
very easy
damage.
to overlook this on the wiki because the wiki says add light element to physical attacks for 3 turns to all units. And if you don't like stop and think about it, or you're not aware that this is weird, you might just think, okay, so he imbues my team with light. All units includes enemies.
Right.
Yeah,
So
that's kind of the point.
So any physical ability, I mean, any physical type ability
Or
that's
hybrid.
imbuable, or hybrid, yeah, or hybrid, is actually going to just be fully absorbed by you unless it already has an element, and then you know how that works. Although, wait, no, no,
Well,
no,
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 it
because
will be
absorption,
Absorb even affects dual
exactly,
elements.
right, because as long as it has one of the elements, it's going to be fully absorbed, or as long as it has one of the absorbed elements, it's going to be fully
Yeah.
absorbed. That's
Can
true.
the
And
can
the
the
thing is,
absorb buff be dispelled?
I I don't know. I don't actually know, but the absorb is only 1 turn on
Yeah,
all allies.
Yeah,
But for
I'm
the
just
other 2
wondering.
turns, you can gear and buff resistance still and potentially be immune as well.
right. So what Dream meant is 3 turns for the imbue, 1 turn for the absorb. Just thought I'd
Yeah.
clarify. And mansplain a bit. I love mansplaining, so I thought like I would just do that for you, if that's okay.
Yeah. So this is generally going to be at minimum 1 turn of having essentially infinite stacks of Mirage.
Mhm.
And if you gear for light resist, enough light resist to be immune, then it's 3 turns.
Yep. So it's
So
very nice, and has definitely has uses, because there are scenarios where you're just gonna die unless you have this. So overall, a very cool unit. I think we've over talked about Kresnik, honestly, because he's also such a cool unit. But Muspel, you haven't done your thing yet on him, so I think you should do that.
TM is a coat that's decent for
The TM and
tanks.
STMR are both just kind of nice
Uh,
magic tank gear.
the TM might also be good for Aerith, I guess. Spirit, MP, whatever, plus
Yeah,
resists. You can also upgrade it from the event. I think it gains like completely useless stuff. Let me double check.
it's useless, but it's free.
It
Well, if you get
gains
the race.
5% MP regen and 20% spirit and 10% HP. What was I thinking of? There was something I saw that gained like 50% confuse resist, and I was
Oh
wondering
yeah,
why on earth that
what
was a
is
thing.
that? I remember seeing something like that too.
I don't.
No, no, no. I firmly remember that. What the fuck was that?
I don't know. Huh. Okay. Anyways, and then
Okay,
his
yeah.
his STMR is a hat. Maybe his hat has that.
No, because his hat can't be upgraded. Or you mean he might have it by default? No, no, no,
No,
no,
No. Okay.
no.
Yeah. No.
But
So
I
the hat.
remember there's something. Must okay. Listen, listeners,
you
please
just had like a
comment with
weird
what we
shared
missed.
dream.
No, 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 no. This is a
Maybe there
thing.
was like a weird thing on the wiki or with the bot where it
Yeah,
just
it could
gave
have
my
been like
something
an
wrong.
incorrect pass.
Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, the hat has 105 spirit, 30% HP, 30% MP, 30% spirit. So it's good for tanks, good for Aerith, all that stuff.
Yeah, not
Basically, an
bad.
alternative to like Midsummer Boater that has some MP and stuff instead of
Yeah.
like the guts and water resist.
Yeah.
So I
I
guess
think
it's
it's
better
it's
for Aerith.
generally going to be better than Facey's STMR in most cases, unless you really cared about the guts,
Hmm.
which
I
was
normally think the guts is more valuable. So yeah, like except on Aerith, then I'd
Yeah,
usually prefer phases, I think.
I don't know. I feel like in DV I never cared about guts, and in Clash of
I mean,
Whales,
of course you don't in DV because you'd get penalized for taking
yeah,
damage.
exactly.
In which case, like, where's extra HP and spirit gonna help?
Okay, listen,
Well,
before you boys start fighting, let's just agree it's situational, whether you're gonna prefer guts or not, and move the fuck on.
yeah. And then his card is, speaking of things that are good for Aerith, 110 spirit, 50% spirit true single wield, and what's the, I forget what the,
Another 50% for FFBE units.
yeah, so that last part is not helpful to Aerith, but just the other
Still,
stats on it make it good
yeah.
for her, I think. I'm not sure if it's
And
best in slot or not.
it is just the highest flat spirit card currently.
Yeah, which is good.
And yeah, which I think might make it best in slot. I don't know what her true best card is like, but for me, it's
Yeah,
getting Yoshi's card, this is a direct upgrade to. I
the
think.
Yeah,
only
same
way I
here.
could see another card being better is if there's one with both spirit and MP, which
Mhm.
I'm not sure if there is.
I doubt it. Not with enough spirit, at least.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I
Uh,
guess the only potential thing is that it doesn't have any like just basic spirit percent, which isn't that easy to cap always while building the other stats on Aerith. But
Although
yeah,
I do think the
I
spirit
think it's still probably
single
best,
wield
yeah,
is
because of
probably
the
enough to make
TBH.
up for that. Yeah.
Yeah, good card
So that's
for
Kresnik.
a couple of units.
yeah. All right. So two very cool units, very well designed, fun designed. We love this type of unit, right? Or I hope I'm speaking for
Yeah,
everyone,
yeah.
but like
Yeah.
don't give us Alem shit, give us this, because this is actually refreshing and fun. And I got Kresnik, and I was so happy to get an interesting unit.
There is one
Um,
thing about Kresnik that really disappointed me,
oh yeah,
which is the fact that they're releasing a healer with Clash of Wills reminded me again that when they first announced Clash of Wills, they announced it with a difficulty modifier that would reduce healing done.
yeah, I
And if
remember
they had
that.
done that, then Kresnik would make even more sense as a unit because like having a dedicated healer would be a bigger deal.
Yeah. Well, we still don't know. I'm honestly hoping that next season or one of the upcoming cow seasons is going to be a battle where healing is a thing and where that handicap is actually going to matter. Where like the handicap is going to be maybe reduce healing by 80%, and then you still need to find ways of healing your team. So that would be pretty cool. I
Yeah.
still hope that's
I
going to happen.
think it's just kind of hard because that's very much like a mechanic for like a slow grind down fight, which just I feel like doesn't work that well with the fact that you're still in essence trying to hit that like 2.1 billion damage in one turn.
Well,
Yeah.
if they also change the scoring somehow,
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying, Dream. But although, like, if the boss is chunky enough, maybe that burst is just something like 20% of its HP, right? So
Maybe, but like I don't know. I feel like it's because you would either have to make it like too easy to hit that max damage, or it's just gonna take absolutely forever to kill
yeah, true, true. No,
because
but
obviously it's set
maybe
up those
just
big bursts. You
yeah,
have
but
so
maybe just
many
altering
turns of lower
scoring.
damage. Yeah, you'd have to alter scoring, I think, to make a good slow fight like that work well in Cal.
Yeah. Will be interesting at least. I still like. I mean, I like Kresnik. I am a bit sad for him that use of him is going to be very limited. And to be honest, fully honest, like sometimes in trials you might be selecting other units. Like even if we get trials, I know many of our listeners are not aware of that concept, but like there might be other units ahead of him. So he's very cow specialized in that
He
sense.
is niche but effective when it applies.
Yeah,
he's
very.
cow specialized, and what's unusual about him is that he's cow specialized defensively, which is not what we usually see.
Yeah.
But he's still good enough defensively that you could see yourself using him.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was
he does
just
have the
sad.
morale gauge stuff also, but still.
Yeah, and I think all of us were kind of semi hoping that since they're releasing a healer just in time for cow, this cow would actually be relevant or it would be relevant to have a healer. Um, which, well, in a way, it could be. Maybe there's a nice segue into the cow fight.
I figured that's where we were getting to.
Yeah. So yeah, this one is actually tough. That's interesting.
I haven't done it yet, so I know
Neither,
basically
but I
nothing
have
about it.
seen a bit about it.
Yeah, I've done a bit of it. I haven't optimized my final run yet, but so I can just say a bit about it. So the first thing is that the boss is very tanky. So it takes a lot of damage to take him down. Has a hard HP cap at 50%, so you're not going to be one-turning it. And has this odd mechanic where he absorbs fire on phase 1 and no, sorry, the other way. No, that's true. I think it's absorb fire phase 1, absorb wind phase 2 or something like that. And then of course ice you can do whole fight. Um, but I think the biggest thing about this boss is that he fucking kills your tank. He hits so hard, and there is a threshold at 50% on the HP lock that will kill your tank most of the time, unless you do some really cool stuff. Like for instance, using Kresnik's AoE imbue. You could do that. There are some other ways to, I guess, get around it. You can also get lucky to like because you're using an evasion tank. But yeah, I don't want to get too much into the details. I just want to give you all the feeling that it's a tougher fight. You need to get much more stuff into it, and the boss has also accuracy. So even though you have full evasion, you're gonna be taking damage. So it's tricky.
Yeah, I think in general there's just like a lot of physical and hybrid hits, some of which with accuracy, some have like
Yeah.
some fire, lightning, and dark element added in, but that's not
One
too
other thing
significant.
I want to
There's a lot of
mention.
MP drain, berserk,
Oh yeah, MP. I completely forgot about that because on a high enough
spells.
level, he's gonna be just sucking out all of the MP on turn 1. Like you're gonna be left with 0. So unless you have Galbana Lilies, which is who's TMR now again? It's like
Wrestler, I think.
it's Wrestler. Yeah, but the other Wrestler, right? Like not the first one. The first one
Right.
has that tank
There's only one
materia.
wrestler.
There's only one wrestler.
It's Rex's TM.
Oh, right.
Rex's, yeah, exactly. Because
It's
I
an
was thinking
R
Wrestler
main.
has a tank TM. Yeah,
Yeah.
Rex's TM. Unless you have that, or what is it? It's one of the Alchemist's TM as well, right? Or STM,
Oh,
Philosopher's
it's
Stone,
yeah. I think that's Alphonse's one. Philosopher's Stone
Alphonse's,
Seeker,
yeah,
TMR
and those like otherwise you're
upgrade
gonna be
package
left
as
with
well.
0 MP. Yeah, an upgrade package. Yeah. Otherwise, you have 0 MP at the start of battle, and kind of like it's Haseko PTSD for me, a bit. And you're gonna have to figure that out. He also keeps draining MP every turn as well, so you're gonna find a way to stabilize. You want to generally like equip your support units with a shit ton of MP, so that they have more MP and can survive the drains. Because only the first turn is sucking everything. I guess I don't know if he does that again on a follow up turn. Wouldn't surprise me though.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Um, yeah. But it's an interesting fight. Many people are saying that, because it's such a difficult fight, people are going to be giving up, and we're not going to be seeing as many caps or even high rank clears. Um, which is interesting. It's going to be interesting to see if that's the truth. If enough people are going to be giving up. I mean, Sinzar has already hand fed us a comp and turn by turn play to
And I
actually
think
cap.
just the
So
fact that you can't like one shot clear mindlessly will mean that a lot of people don't bother.
yeah, but the thing is, you weren't competing with those people anyway, because those people would probably just clear
Yeah,
mindlessly onto 99 and
I
do nothing more.
just like the lower ranks are going to be a lot less filled out probably.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's
But
what I.
like
If anything, the lower ranks are going to be less filled.
I mean, I keep coming back to the thing with the top rank stuff is that because of the EX requirements, like unless you're incredibly whaley, your like available options for units to use in your team is so restrictive if you want to actually be trying to cap that score.
Right.
And like I was thinking about last night actually, like with all of like thinking about look at all the global exclusive units and stuff that we've got recently with good, interesting skill sets, and like these cow trials are actually interesting fights. Like I had a look at the new 12 race trial in JP. It's like, oh, it does physical damage and ice and light magic. That's immutable. Yawn.
Ooh.
But like
Yeah.
this would be is like a really interesting and good period of content, but just all of the EX level requirements between premium units, stuff having EX skills on launch, and cow scoring, it's just drained all of the color out of it for me.
I also feel like the boss AIs are needlessly overcomplicated for something that's limited time.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, sure, but like in this case, I think this is an interesting boss because he's not doing that standard FFBE bullshit where he's either wiping you or you did the right thing. That's not really happening. Like you can kind of get your way through understanding his abilities on your own. Um, I feel your burnout dream, like the thing about where okay, EX levels are slowly sucking the pleasure out of it. But I'm honestly trying to see it from another way. Like I feel like yeah, I'm not gonna cap due to EX levels, but I don't want to become a spoiled brat when it comes to FFB. And here's a hot take maybe, but people are now saying okay, less people are gonna cap. Why? Because this is not a one-shot brain dead trial. I mean, people, this is literally the reason why we're not getting more difficult content or trials. It's because nobody fucking wants to do difficult content or trials. So,
I mean, yeah.
we
For
should
me,
be
it's
enjoying
more
it.
that it's that I do want to enjoy it fully. I want to be able to build for this using my entire roster without feeling like I'm being artificially penalized and limited for using almost any of my units.
Yeah, but I've gone beyond that. Like, I just let go of the artificially, I mean, I am being artificially penalized. I am. But I just let go of that. And I'm just going to build a roster that I enjoy. I still want to do a Celeste team to try to make that work. I'm still so annoyed that Celeste and Nickel don't have an Imperil in their kit. It's like the dumbest thing ever. I just realized
Nicole
because,
does.
sorry?
Nicole does.
Wait, Nickel does?
Yeah, he can use flood +2, I think.
Oh,
And then
yeah,
his
but
field
that's,
he gets it to 145.
yeah, that's actually 100% true. I forgot about that. Yeah, so Celeste really,
Eric doesn't have an Imperial.
yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm not going to be raging about Celeste. But I don't know. I am enjoying the content for what it is. Like I am letting go of the need to go to first place because I'm really trying to remember that hey, if I don't appreciate this content, I'm really proving that Gumi should never make trials because obviously what people actually want to do is one turn clear of a raid. All right, and that shouldn't be true. That shouldn't be true.
No, because like for me, I would enjoy this more if this was just a trial. If like the
I do
same
fully
fight
agree
as
on
a
that.
trial, I
Yeah,
would enjoy it more as a trial.
I 100% agree like with that. And maybe there are ways they can ease the EX requirements a bit more or change it a bit. Um, I
Well,
mean, I still understand wanting to premiere EX levels. I get that. I really understand why they put that in. But
so do I. Money.
yeah, well, yes. I mean, bottom line, sure. But I get it. I just think that it could be done even more tactful because as it is right now, I mean, it's already so that you need to be whaley to cap, right?
Yeah,
Like the EX thing is
even
not stopping you,
yeah, with
right? Like
even without the EX requirement restricted, it would still be hard to cap these fights.
Yeah.
because you would need units with higher EX levels to do more damage and have EX skills and so on
Yeah.
and so on, right? So just hamstringing other players is a bit of a shame because you're stopping people from finding interesting ways of using units, like Shadow
Yeah,
Lord, for instance.
Yeah. I,
it,
I do
it's
hope that
so
they decide to add some of these Clash of Wills bosses as normal bosses. Like they'll have to change things a little because I'm assuming they'll remove the morale gauge. I guess they could leave it in though.
Yeah,
But
why not?
um, yeah, but
yeah.
Gumi, I know what you're thinking. Do not put them in the fucking Chamber of Vengeance. Nobody likes clearing trials with 50 units. Just don't do it.
Yeah. No, but I hear what you're saying. I actually think that that would be an interesting thing where they already put a lot of time into cow battles, so they could make like design trials that are cow battles, but they have pre-selected the modifiers, and these could even be rolling once a week or something, and have an interesting reward. Like nothing breaking if you can't defeat it, but like maybe a 500 lapis or whatever per week and like oh now I'm facing the super strong hard hitting morale boss and I need to tank it versus now I'm facing the super tanky one but that hits like a wet rag. I think that could be interesting and they
Or
could keep their stuff.
or have it so that there's like the bunch of different modifiers that you can select and each modifier has a mission reward. So when you clear with that modifier, you get that reward. And then
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
also have some rewards for like clear with 5 modifiers, clear with 10 modifiers.
Yeah.
Cool, cool.
Th-
I mean, they could definitely do that. It's free content, and I think people would enjoy it a bit more. So I like that.
There's there's a couple other things I want to talk about with regards to this boss specifically. The first thing is that he does something that I don't think we've ever seen from a boss before, which is AoE Berserk at 30%. So
Yeah, you just don't
Basically,
want to
yeah,
go to
avoid that.
30%.
you want to skip
That's the
that
thing.
threshold. You want to kill
Yeah.
him before he goes below 30%.
Yeah.
Because
Most,
otherwise you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah.
and I'm gonna say most clears now burst to near the 50% threshold, set up, then take it down to the threshold, then just kill it from 49 and down to 0 in one turn.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that, like, we were not the only ones that predicted this, not by a long shot, or at least not predicted it, but speculated it could happen.
Let's say we were the only ones that predicted this because we are geniuses. Please
Do you
continue.
even know what I'm talking about, Barros?
No, but I'm just going to take credit for it anyway. So can you just say it?
He has a 625% attack buff.
Yes, we predicted this. We were the first
Igni
one.
can copy.
Yes, but here is a funny thing. So they've done testing. You can copy it, but the cap is 400%. So fuck you.
Yeah. Didn't they add that back with like the Dr. Sid event?
That was weird because I think that was like a 999% buff, and I think attack and magic were capped at 300%, but defense and spirit worked up to the 999 or something at the time. It might have been the other way around.
Okay, here's a better question. Do you think Gumi knew that it was capped at 400% when you copy it?
Sure, maybe. I mean, it's obvious that it was placed there to make Igni relevant, right? Like obvious,
But
right?
the thing
That's
is, you get the 400% attack and magic buff at 200% morale anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's only an attack buff. It's not magic.
Yeah, exactly. So, i.e., because of the cap, you've got a better option available anyway.
But here's the thing: if it wasn't capped, it would be a very strong and cool way of using Igni on this fight, though. That's the thing. So unfortunately, it was capped, so it's not as cool as you would want. But yeah.
Well, on one hand, like, yeah, it's a cool thing. On one hand, it's like, oh, hope you pulled this new unit to a high EX level to do good on this count.
As usual. As usual. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Have we exhausted it? We have, right?
I think so.
We've exhausted ourselves.
Yes. Yes. Especially about the EX talk. Hey. Oh. There can't be an episode. Oh shit, I'm doing this way too late because nobody from Gumi is listening anymore. Not that they ever started listening to begin with. But one thing that would make this EX struggle a bit easier, Dream, wouldn't the dungeon make it just a little bit easier with this EX struggle?
Oh yeah.
Yes, give us the fragment dungeon.
So there is no fragment dungeon yet, and I feel like, fuck you, Gumi, give me the fragment dungeon. That's what I feel. That's what I feel. Yes, please. And the thing is,
next week, and then I'll be like, oh, I have half of the shards available by the time count ends. This helps me not at all because I left a bunch of units 70 away from EX2.
Yeah, I agree. Like actually, you know what? That's gonna help me just a little bit because it's actually gonna push my if that happens, and I think you're gonna be right because it's just a spit in the face to everyone. Is that's actually gonna help me get my Kresnik to EX1 because I don't have to wait until the banner ends. So I could use Kresnik in a run. In cow at least. So there's that. I think that goes for many units that, well, I mean, I think that goes for anyone who pulled Bulwark or Kresnik and is not buying the bundle or doing step ups. So let's hope at least that happens.
Like, wait, you guys are pulling things without going to petty?
Oh no, yeah, I just got Kresnik from a daily, and that's what I got Cyan from last week. So
I spent like 8 tickets and got 2 copies of Kresnik.
Decent.
I also spent 41k Lapis and got Bulwark.
Ah, nice. So Dream, you need to join the shitter club.
Oh, I wish I could get into the.
Oh, you want to get in? Wait, Dream, hold on. Can you say that again? You wanted to get into the shitter
club?
All right, everybody, that's our show. See you next week.